Uhuru Kenyatta does not carry around a symbol of authority as did his predecessors, just the weight of the ICC cases on his shoulders, and one that he has insisted is his alone to bear, having travelled with just his family to The Hague. The president is here for what the judges say is a critical juncture in the proceedings against him. Kenyatta, having invoked his constitutional powers to appoint William Ruto to take charge, gave up some of the privileges that come with the presidency and also the muscle that help him push for more concessions on how his case will be conducted, and that is the AU resolution. Kenyatta may be required to respond more directly to accusations made by the prosecutor and the victim's lawyer that he was deliberately obstructing justice. The issue of cooperation has been a very sore spot in a very large part of this case, prompting a lot of back and forth between the government of Kenya and the office of the prosecutor. And it wasn't any different in court today. The prosecutor says they have reached a deadlock in obtaining any further evidence against Kenyatta. The AG on his part says the prosecutor's requests need to be more specific. Here's that story.
The International Criminal Court is now in session.
The prosecutor's report back to the judges of the trial chamber 5B is that they are still not ready to start with the case. The body of evidence is still hanging by the thread, and in their own words, though they had received the bare minimum of what they'd asked for, there was no hope of getting any more as the government of Kenya had refused to cooperate with them. Nothing much has changed, the prosecution says, even after the chamber in July directed the prosecution to pursue all possible means of getting the information they need.
They have not been provided. There is no sign of them being provided, and the lengthy explanation given by the government of Kenya say nothing about these documents being provided. I think it would be reasonable for us to conclude that the Kenyan government does not intend to provide us with either of those two sets of documents.
The AG is, however, standing his ground. The prosecutor's request needed specificity so as to be more actionable.
Unless the prosecution is able to tell us, we are interested in land reference number 100, please get us a search on that title. And I have promised you, if that happens, we will bring the search within 72 hours. We have also said, if you know of a motor vehicle by its registration, and you give me the number, I will bring the logbook that tells us who owes that number, and I will do it in 72 hours.
The prosecutor was hoping to get Kenyatta's financial and phone records and tax returns. They're also hoping to get information on assets owned by Kenyatta's family and associates, as well as land or property registered in Kenyatta's name, either personally or through third parties that may have transferred it to any other person or entity between the 1st of June 2007 and the 15th of December 2014.
I have in my hand a blank Kenya Revenue Authority tax return. It is, unfortunately, familiar to many of us probably in its general form, full of boxes which have to be filled in, including, for example, space for details of directorships held by the person making the return. It's the kind of information which has to be included in all these boxes which we're interested in.
So we've disclosed the vehicle records, and then the request became vehicles used by Mr. Kenyatta. But how on earth are we going to
Thank you very much, Mr. K.
document every vehicle he had a lift in?
The prosecutor now wants the judges to consider their original application that the government of Kenya be found to be non-compliant. The judges are yet to make a decision on this, but should they agree, the matter could be referred to the Assembly of State Parties, the body that represents countries that have ratified the Rome Statute that set up the ICC.
If there was non-cooperation, the prosecution itself says we have 73 pages of documents. Is that non-cooperation? You know countries that haven't cooperated. They are on the website of the ICC.
Well, scores of legislators have travelled to The Hague in solidarity and to give their support. They say that they've done so on their own account. Although not everyone will be granted access to the court's premises, the AG will also not participate in tomorrow's session that only involves the parties to the case.